This is the Power Element Podcast, episode 51. All right, my name is Paul. I produce the podcast. I am a journeyman lineman by trade. Today we have another episode for you. Our in-studio guest is Felipe. I'm past on saying his last name. I always screw it up. Just kind of one of those things. I even screw up his first name in the show. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, Felipe is a journeyman lineman who now serves as an operations manager. We're going to get to the show, but first let me highlight a few of our promotional partners. First up, Milwaukee Tool. Since the company began in 1924, Milwaukee Tool has led the industry in developing innovative solutions that deliver increased productivity and unmatched durability for professional construction users. Head on over to MilwaukeeTool.com today, or you can go to the Instagram at Milwaukee Tool. Dragonware. Family-owned company Dragonware takes pride in supporting those who serve their communities. Our fire-resistant and arc-rated clothing is designed to keep those who put their lives on the line safe, meeting industry standards like NFPA 70E and NFPA 2112. With rodeo season beginning, watch for Dragonware sponsored teams at an event near you. Stay safe with Dragonware. Podcast listeners get a special promo code. They get 10% off with promo code NEWGEAR10. That's NEWGEAR10 at dragonware.com. Wagner Smith Equipment Co. It's your one-stop shop. For all your job site tooling and equipment, you can expedite and simplify your day with a large assortment of trustworthy services and products. Visit wagnersmith.com, download the app, or give them a call at 866-666567. Wagner Smith Equipment are your preferred tooling and equipment experts. All right, special thanks to Klein Tools, Working Athlete, Gel Co. Eyewear, still got a promo code with them. Use promo code Power Element. Save yourself 15% off. And Buckingham Manufacturing. All right. Special thanks to Daniel Sanchez. I utilize that music every podcast. I put Daniel's Instagram in the show notes. Thank you to Lima Mama and High Voltage Commando. All right, last but not least, I want to thank the entire Sturgis, California workforce. Without you, this podcast would not be possible. All right, get to the show. This is the Power Element Podcast, episode 51. Enjoy the show. Single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. It's a quote from George Bernard Shaw. Felipe, how you doing, brother?
Good, you?
Man, it's great. Good to have you in studio. Coming all the way from Arizona, right?
Yeah. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming in. You ever done a podcast?
Nope.
First time for everything, huh?
Yeah.
It's a good time. What'd you think about the quote? So the quote goes, the single best problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place.
I think it fits well.
Personal and professional life, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you've always understood communication?
No.
When
something.
Oh, go ahead.
As you get older and you grow and mature,
right?
works out.
Why do we like that?
Oh no.
It's weird, right? Where did you think you found it out better to work in your professional or personal life?
I think it works out quicker in professional life.
Yes, and then you take it over to your personal life, right? That makes sense. All right, we'll save the TED Talks for your YouTube special coming up next year. Felipe, where'd you grow up, man? Early life. Let's get an introduction from yourself.
Yeah. So I grew up in Southern California.
Shout out, SoCal.
Yeah. Started off at the local utility. Groundman apprentice, journeyman lineman. Eventually transitioned into the office, project manager, and eventually made my way out to the contractors, primarily the West Coast, up and down the whole coast.
Hang on, man. You kind of skimmed over the your childhood and your teenage years. Anything from that was it worth talking about?
Yeah, just played hockey when I was younger.
Hockey in SoCal. That doesn't make sense, but we'll go for it.
Yeah. Back when Wayne Gretzky used to have arenas out here.
He did, so he doesn't have it anymore.
No. Yeah, it's just high school league.
Okay.
Into wrenching on cars and video production.
Wrenching on cars, was that something that you always wanted to do, or was kind of any mentors in that?
Just learned how to work on my own car with my dad.
Changing oil, alternator starters, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you still kind of work on your own cars. You like to work on your own cars now?
Not anymore.
Yeah, screw that. Huh?
These cars have a bunch of computers in them now.
Dude, that's true. They don't want to touch that ECU, right?
Yeah, I can't even change the brakes anymore without resetting something.
Dude, right? And then you got to take it to the dealer. Anyways. Yeah. Did you have any accountability growing up? Anyone holding you accountable when you were growing up?
Yeah, dad and uncles.
What was that like? Were they hard on you?
Typical Hispanic family, right?
Disciplined you, taught you the best they knew with the tools they had?
Yeah. A lot of sometimes working in the summers with my uncle, doing masonry or tile, something else. So that was always fun.
So it sounds like you kind of worked with your hands pretty young, just kind of having some uncles and your dad kind of just teaching that stuff. Yep. Any of those skills that they taught you young, you find to translate into what you do now?
Yeah, I think, just caring about your work product, especially like if you're doing tile, that's kind of permanent. Making sure it all looks nice. It's going to be there for a while.
That quality just kind of goes at every trade, especially like you said, tile. It's out there. Tile's hard.
Yeah.
Backbreaking work. Yeah. But you chose line work.
Yeah.
I guess we can go there. Actually, I got one more question into your kind of the adolescence stage, because I know you got in the trade pretty young. But who were you before you joined the trade? Who was Felipe? Was he lost? Was he arrogant? Was he what was he like?
I think typical young kid, not sure what they want to do with life.
Yeah. So how'd that question come into to join the trade?
Growing up in a family that, my uncle was already in the trade. It's kind of, here you graduated high school, go apply. Here's these positions, whether it's groundman, meter reader. And
was that the day of, the week of?
The second I had my diploma here's an application.
Didn't you enjoy much of that, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool. What do you think? What was your knowledge? Were you able to, did you always kind of knew what your uncle did or what that entitled?
I didn't know too much going into it until right before the position started. And, before I joined, got a chance to hang out with like Felix Zapata. He took me climbing at a pole nearby. He used to be at the apprenticeship. So that was good.
Was any point did Felix say you were a natural climber, or was it?
He's Felix. But he is a good teacher.
That's good. Yeah. I wasn't a natural climber. It was tough. What'd you think about the trade when you kind of did you kind of have some regrets? Were you feeling like maybe it wasn't for you, or when you got in? I don't know personally if there's anything that kind of sticks out to you. If there's like, man, this is something maybe I'm not ready for.
I think the first couple years, getting exposed to energized environments was a little nerve-wracking at first, but we had a good crew, some good mentors. A lot of guys are still around. We've all kind of gone our different ways. But I worked for some good people.
And you came up through the transmission side?
Yeah. Yeah, so transmission at the utility, you're typically with the same team, 7 to 8 guys for the whole year. And then you rotate crews. Seem to be on the traveling crew often, so out of town most weeks.
It's not bad too, young man, just kind of learning and getting as much exposure as you can, right?
Yeah. Always stuck in Palm Springs during summer.
Perfect. 120 degrees on a steel tower. Yeah. Any significant stories that kind of stick out in your apprenticeship as far as lessons learned, or any good mentorship stories that could bring some value to the conversation?
Yeah, I think especially like communication. I remember one time being up in the bucket. We're rubber gloving, starting to get ready to remove some max, and just almost came off on the wrong set. But there's that gut feeling to double check what my bucket partner was doing. We were able to stop it ahead of time, just staying ahead of that communication.
Kind of set your path as far as always kind of communicating. Like you know the rule, you don't intentionally break it, but yeah, it kind of brings that awareness up.
Yeah, a lot of exposure to EPZ on the transmission side. Remember getting lit up pretty good one day.
Dude, transmission's no joke. Yeah. It's crazy stuff. What do you think about climbing? Kind of being a. I think when you probably came up, there was no full fall restriction, so you're kind of free climbing and then kind of belting off. What do you think about climbing? Did you kind of take towards it?
Yeah, I didn't mind the steel.
Yeah.
Rules are quite different today.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Do you think it would matter much if the rules were stricter when you came up? I think.
I don't know. I think some of the rules teach some people to rely a little too much on that extra safety blanket, but I understand why it's needed. People have been hurt, killed. So how do you eliminate the hazard? And that's the answer, right?
With equipment.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the double-edged sword, especially as like linemen. I'm not gonna say I'm familiar with transmission at no point, but for the distribution side, it's always kind of like you learn that finesse and skill through yourself and that technique, and then, like you said, you implement new equipment because of safety concerns. Like it's just a new process too. And there was like I remember even recently, there's guys phasing out, retiring that they knew. They were telling stories of implementing a hard hat into the workforce, and they're like, heck no, we're not even wearing this hard hat. Like, and then you look at those old time pictures of linemen first coming up, and they had the felt hat, and that was kind of like their feeler. And same thing can kind of be for like a hard hat and stuff.
Yep, or even FR clothing.
Yeah, those first shirts where they were the brown collared, and you just sweat. Yeah, there was just no breathing in that shirt.
A lot thinner than the new stuff, though.
Oh, new stuff's nice. That's for sure. I kind of want to stay in there until we talk about kind of your current role. But if there was 3 things you were to give advice to an apprentice to make the most out of their apprenticeship, what would that look like?
Just ask as many questions as possible. I think sometimes it's really easy as an apprentice to think somebody's being hard on you or something else, but there's a lot of consequences for our actions out there, right? Sometimes you got to get that point across. And, just learn what you can. If you get any opportunities to be involved in a new project or test out a new tool or new device, go try it.
Yeah, that's a good advice. I had a pole partner once say, it made perfect sense too, and it was a good quote. He was like, it's your apprenticeship. Telling your apprentice, like, regardless of what you're saying as a lineman or what the foreman's saying or what the work scope looked like, it's your apprenticeship. So the better attitude you have and the better disciplined you are into making the most out of your apprenticeship, that's it was kind of like, I was like, yeah, I'm going to use that line because that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
You kind of agree with that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good path. All right, cool, man. Let's talk about, you kind of shifted to, I don't actually, yeah, you shifted from the field to office. What was that like? What happened there?
Yeah. So, say I was lucky enough to work for a manager that pulled me aside one day and asked me why I didn't finish my schooling. Told him I was focusing on the trade and being a lineman. And his name was George Parker. And he told me his stories of how hard it was to finish schooling back when he was in the trade, trying to speed back from Blythe to Upland to go to college finals or something else. And he asked me what he could do to help. And he offered me a cross-training assignment, get me home for a year as an estimator if I went back to school.
Mm.
So did that, finished my degree. And when I went back into the field after that cross-training assignment, bought a little hotspot and computer and during lunch or anything else, get my homework done. And eventually graduated and worked my way into project management at the utility for a new program that had just kicked off, the new deteriorated pole program. And that's kind of my transition. And I think, very, very lucky to have somebody that didn't want somebody else to experience the same struggles they did.
You give a lot of gratitude towards him.
Yeah.
For pushing you along. Do you think it would have happened if you didn't?
I don't think so.
You just didn't see the value in it. And I know on the cruise, it's not a big discussion. It's just trade focus, which is fine, which is great.
Yeah. And it wasn't so much like the value, like not seeing the value in it, but I think, you get used to the money on the crew, and it's a huge time investment to go to school, even after you're working, 50 to 60 hours a week, and then you have another 20 to 30 hours of coursework and homework. So it's a little tough for 2 years, no life at all.
Yeah, it's sacrifice because you've passed it. You passed one of the hardest schools in the apprenticeship as far as earning your journeyman lineman ticket. With that being said, what advice would you give to anyone trying to maybe think of that avenue or taking that path as far as from the field to the office?
Yeah. If you ever get offered any extra training, whether it's to come into the office to do estimating or takeoffs or, bids or something else, and I would take it. It only adds more value. I think we need more people from the craft on the office side. There's a lot of gaps of knowledge there.
Why do you think that has an advantage?
Really being able to set up these jobs for success.
Perspective?
Yeah.
Having the conversations.
Yeah, especially, you're trying to go bid a job or something and having somebody that's actually done the work and been able to look at what tooling and equipment's going to be out there compared to an idea of what needs to get done. I think there's a lot of value.
That's awesome, man. That's a good fit too, right? Yeah. What about your role now? I know you're kind of doing things a little bit different. What's your role look like now?
Yeah, so as a sponsor, operations manager, really looking at constructability, front-end engineering, advice, a lot of kind of, we'll call it consulting to get projects ready, carry the projects through completion, and then close out. So kind of see it as an opportunity to learn from the mistakes I've lived through in the past on projects, try to make sure we don't repeat those again. And it's not to say we've repeated those here, but use past experience to make sure that the current organization does not have to live through those.
Sure. What are some of those challenges in your role that you face?
There's a lot of work they want done, and it's always a quick turnaround. And I don't think between supply chain or engineering, it's all there yet. We have a lot of transmission and substation projects on the horizon. And, you see some of these bids come out and they're like, turn it around in 4 weeks. And then you go try getting material quotes and they can't even get it to you in 4 weeks sometimes.
There's always something lagging.
Yeah.
Manpower, supply chain.
Yeah, and I think
permits.
Even in our trade, right, we have this vacuum where what's the percentage now that are going to retire in the next 10 years?
Oh, it's huge, man.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
We're facing the same challenges on engineering side.
Really?
There's a lot of young engineers coming up, right? So a lot of inexperience there. And it's not to say the companies aren't qualified, but there's a learning curve. Everything's shifting to new bulk transmission, support all the renewables, new substations, and get it out quick. It's a huge push.
No, man, and I think that's a good point you bring up in an indirect way, and I'll kind of hit it directly now is as a lineman or in the trade, you always thinking about just the best skilled labor and the best craftsmanship, which is great, but those support roles, engineer, estimators, I'm not the person to ask, but whatever those roles look like, but we want the best. We want to recruit the best from other industries, from oil, gas, from electronics. Like we want all these engineers, the best and the brightest over here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes our job better if we're able to recruit and attract some talented individuals in the office side.
Yeah, and I don't think any crew wants to go out there for a job that wasn't planned, right? Don't have the right tools, don't have the right equipment. That's where, okay, how for the people that can step away from the trade and go to that side of the business, how much easier can we make the crew's job?
You can have that conversation. Hey, if you don't have all the material, this is some of the problems that the crew's going to run into. Yeah, that's not. And you might have an office personnel saying that's no big deal. Actually, it is. Let me tell you why. Right?
Yeah.
Kind of close those gaps, filling those gaps, I guess. So you kind of have experience being a part of a team, leading team, managing team on both sides. You have that field experience and then kind of the office experience. I wanted to kind of get your intake or your input on this. How do you manage or lead a team or a crew to maintain a high standard?
I think it's really comes down to setting the vision ahead of time, but also not just saying this is my vision, trying to get buy-in, and making sure everyone has a voice and input. I mean, there comes a point where a decision just has to be made.
Yeah.
Right. But I think the more buy-in you'll have, the better it's going to work out.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of learned that here at Sturgis, California. We talk about strategic decision making and tactical decision making, and office personnel is going to be able to have some data, some analytics to look at that can help you make a strategic decision. And then if you're field foreman or lead lineman, it's a tactical decision. It's right then, right now.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do this right now, and it's based upon experience, resources, and communication through that day. And so I think that's kind of unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me go back. Let me go to a book here. This book it's called "It's Your Ship" from Captain Michael Abershoff. Once again, it's called "It's Your Ship." I'm gonna pull a quote from that. Page 31 says, "I learned the difference between being an individual contributor and being the leader of a team who has to see the important long-range issues and delegate power." Question to you is, when did you see clarity as in being a leader? Like you talk about vision. I think some keywords are clarity and how important that message is.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, basically just like you talk about vision and you kind of tie in clarity as a foreman, whether it's a transmission or distribution or even a lead lineman. You have to express that vision towards the crew, and you have to, like you said, the clearer the vision, the better the buy-in. And I imagine the same thing when you're leading a team in the office, or you guys, your team rallying a project. You kind of agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's again, we all bring something different to the table, right? And we've all lived different work experiences, life experiences, trying to balance that.
Good point. All right, cool, man. I'm gonna go in a little more question kind of based flow for the podcast here. You got this vast experience from the field and from the office. I just want to make sure we pull from that. All right, here we go. What's the importance of being proactive, and how do you stay proactive in your role? And I think there's kind of a valuable lesson in being proactive as a journeyman lineman too, right?
Yeah.
But where do you see that kind of shaping up?
Really just pulling from past experience, right?
Yeah.
So I've walked into projects before and seen certain things on the list of materials or certain construction and know that's going to be a challenge to accomplish, and trying to point that out real quick. It's a lot easier to resolve before the day we're trying to build it.
Yeah, and then if you're reactive and you're leveraging that experience into your job in the field and or in office pre-fielding, you're going to be able to better see those hazards or those setbacks, right?
Yeah, I think when we're reactive, the chance of an incident, or whether it's safety or quality, increases quite significantly, right?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, being proactive. I've always said we had Tony Vega on the podcast a couple of years ago, and I asked him if you have to be proactive in a safety role, because if you're reactive, that means accident or incident already happened.
Yeah,
it's probably one of the best examples we have right in front of us. But if we took on that same ownership with in the field or in the office, like that kind of really help out. Yeah. Do you find any value of a lineman keeping a path of growth? I think as a lineman, it's an attractive job. It's a great job. There's a lot of instant gratification in that craftsmanship. But do you think there still should be a accountability on your own part to really say, hey, maybe in a few years I should be looking at a foreman position and then general foreman position? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's important. There's always people growing, promoting, retiring. There's always going to be a hole that needs to be filled, right? Yeah. So if you don't take that spot, who's going to take it, right? You're going to let the guy that just journeyed out be your GF because you didn't want to grow from foreman to GF.
And you necessarily don't have to take it, but if you're ready or prepared or have that understanding, right? Yeah. I always felt like even if an apprentice wasn't ready to go up to the secondary and make up connections, get him up there.
Yeah. You could always go up there with them, right?
You always go up there with them. You're there. But he still doesn't have the groundwork down, but he's going to get that different perspective when he goes up and he can see why I was so particular in the way you make up that bag, or how I wanted the service brought up. And then so the next time that you're down on the ground, there's a bit better importance, right? Yeah. That's kind of example I like to use too. So, what's possible when a crew utilizes effective communication? I think we can kind of pull from both field and office teams or crews. What do you think some advantages are there?
Things just run smooth. People know what their role is. You're not, stumbling over each other. It's an efficient day. People don't get all upset at each other, right? Kind of just working smooth.
Good things happen. Magic happens. All right, we're going to go down to the book. It's a Leadership Strategy and Tactics by Jocko Willink. Big Jocko fan?
Yep.
Listen to Jocko podcast a little bit?
When I can.
Yeah, get some good podcasts. All right, so page 89 talks about building trust and relationships. Relationships up and down the chain of command are the foundation of a team. If two people trust each other, they have a relationship. If there is no trust, there is no relationship. So relationships are built on trust. Teams are built on relationships. If there aren't relationships between people, there is no team, just a random group of people. How important is it to have that bond, that cohesion on a team and a crew, Felipe?
I think trust is a big component of success. Like, if you've ever been in work environment where you trust your boss 100%. The direction he's taking you, where you're going, you'll go move mountains for that person, right? Same with the team. It's like people aren't going to think you're out trying to backstab them or, take their job or do something else. Everyone can just work and know that we got each other covered.
How about that momentum after that hard task, pull, job, like that momentum after that as building that cohesion with the team?
Next one's going to go easier, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because you can count on you had that momentum from that last win, and that's big. Like you get a nice big corner pull that has a lot of moving parts to it, or a transmission corridor that has some safety concerns, or from the project management standpoint, you got a lot of logistic issues, and you kind of complete that as a team. Man, you're gonna have some momentum, right? Yeah. How do you keep that momentum? Tough questions. Huh?
Yeah, I think something we could do better is like the end of the day tailboard. Right, talking about what went good, what went bad, and then, that's the end of the day. And then try to recap that again the next day, fresh start, because you don't always remember walking into a new day, right? And I think you'll find out a lot about your crew doing that. You'll learn where people's weaknesses and strengths are. So how do I lean on that guy with some weakness to improve him and just build the whole team up?
Either end of the day tailboard. That's a good point, man. Too. But to kind of reiterate what you said, but do you think capitalizing on the good things that happen and maybe the things you can improve on is a good thing to kind of chop up in that end of the day tailboard?
Yeah, we're so quick to just get out, right?
Yeah,
there's just as much about value at the end of the day as there is before the shift.
But realistically, what's it going to take? 4 minutes?
5 minutes, yeah.
Outriggers are up, buckets stowed, covers on.
Yeah, before you get back to the yard.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're, have our whole road shut down, maybe you pull around the corner or something, but.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, man, that's a valuable thing, and I know it's, I know something we could probably do better at as a trade or industry, maybe.
Yeah.
Some always room to improve. Cool. All right, man, I kind of want to talk about quality. I kind of want to refer back to the IBW Code of Excellence, and that states, pulling right from the IBW Code of Excellence once again, states that members will perform the highest quality and quantity of work, utilize their skills and abilities to the maximum, exercise safe and productive work practices. A question to you, Felipe. Felipe. I'm all screwed up. Paul got me all screwed up. Paul on board. Do you think it's deliberate that they put in the Code of Excellence that quality would be first?
Yeah. How do we protect our work from the others that are trying to take it?
Quality.
Yeah, it's quality and safety, right? We're all paid well. We're not the cheapest. But if we do it right the first time and we do it safe, we'll keep the work.
What about the importance of teaching that young apprentice those good quality habits?
If you don't, they're just going to repeat it, right?
Set the standard young.
Yeah.
High. You think that having the high standard? All right, here you go. Next question is like that relationship between a high standard and perfection. I think there's some people, like the big saying is like, I'm a perfectionist. Like I want everything perfect.
Yeah.
Well, when you get to a job site with a lot of moving parts, like how should the expectation be perfection?
I think the goal is perfection.
Yeah.
But high standard is the minimum, right?
Yeah.
Because if you expect perfection, you could sit there and stop the job every 2 minutes trying to set it all up perfect and not going to get anything accomplished then, right?
Right. I think something kind of Raul talks about often is setting a high standard within your crew at yourself is at some point you always deviate. We always just, it's human nature, we always deviate. But if you have that high standard, that deviation level is still going to be at a high level and will still set us up for success. You kind of agree with that? Makes sense? Yeah. All right, man. You have a LinkedIn post. It's kind of how I started. I don't know, kind of thinking like having you on the podcast be awesome idea. I met you last year at the ILR. Good stuff. What'd you think about the ILR? Real quick.
It's fun.
A lot of
That's
people.
my first time there.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you go again?
Yeah.
That's dope. Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Next year I'll make the safety conference ahead of time.
Oh yeah. That morning conference is pretty good too. Yeah. A lot of good speakers. All right, back to the show. All right, you wrote up a LinkedIn post regarding communication. You wrote this about 2 months ago. You wrote the role of communication and a proper tailboard. Continuing on my last post of using workplace tools to ensure safety in our personal lives before any off-road adventure I lead, we huddle as a team. Some of the items we go over is which radio channel we will use for communications, the planned route with any hazards we know about, as well as each position the car will be in the caravan to ensure we stay together. You go on to say that effective communication is at the core of any successful operation. It ensures that everyone involved understands their roles, responsibilities, and overall mission. When it comes to safety, communication becomes even more critical. Dude, it's a super cool post that gives perspective. You have a photo of a couple side-by-sides lit up at night. What was your intention with this post, and why do you think it's so important to share those same practices in your personal life that you do with your personal?
Yeah. I think in our trade, there's a lot of good practices or tools that we've learned, when it comes to communication or tailboard and out in our personal lives, our friends and family don't always get that. And, we're out there, there's no cell service, very remote areas, fast speed, out in the Arizona desert. So just trying to keep the crew together, talking about all those things, whether it's communication on the radio or, what order we're going to ride in, just makes the day fun. You're not wondering where Joe is down the road or, he didn't show up to the next stop.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. You could regroup a lot easier if you know exactly what order you're in and where everyone is, and everyone has radio comms.
Sounds like a good tailboard. Speaking of a tailboard, obviously in this personal setting, you're leading the tailboard, but when you go visit a crew or you're kind of observing, what are you looking for in a good tailboard? What's some key things that are standing out to you?
One of the biggest things I look for is how are we discussing the hazard spots and the potential trouble we expect to see, and how are we going to mitigate them or eliminate them, right? I think we do a good job at saying, hey, we're going to go up there, spread the 12 kV, set this new pole. But what else is there? Is there like a mid-span tap somewhere that's close when we go to spread that we have to watch out for? Are there any, compromised sleeves in the wire that we need to worry about? I think a lot of the incident investigations I've been on, it's usually a hazard we overlooked or didn't discuss thoroughly in the tailboard. And, we're so focused on the work getting done.
Sure.
We don't think about all the what ifs that could happen.
Good point, man. I always kind of tell apprentices too, typically during a tailboard, it's time for them to kind of catch their breath, regroup their thoughts, and they typically kind of focus their attention down at their feet or kind of looking away. And like, man, look up at the lineman, look at that foreman, because you're missing some important communication in that body language. If that lineman, if that foreman's given the tailboard and he addresses a span away, adjacent span, and that lineman looks at it and he stays locked in on it, he's seeing something.
Yeah.
And you're going to miss that process of what that lineman's going through. Like if he's an experienced lineman or he's even a young new top down lineman, like if there's something not registering with them, like they're going to give you a clue right away.
Yeah. We used to, like the new Journeyman or the higher step apprentices would often work with the foreman to develop the tailboard and then help lead the tailboard. So they were a little bit more engaged.
Yeah.
And I know at the end of the day, the foreman owns the job, right?
Yeah.
But it keeps that apprentice from staring at their feet.
Yeah, no, it's a good practice. And I mean, eventually you can supersede and say, like, we're not going to do it that way, kid. Like,
Yeah.
Good try. Next time, you're on the right path, but we're going to do it the right way. But you're still, like you said, you get involved. You're getting them thinking. They're understanding what that process looks like, what to kind of look for, too. Identifying those hazards. We utilize the energy wheel here at Sturgeon, California. So it's one of those things that you can kind of go through and build out. So anything to add to that tailboard spot? I think you did good. Cool, man. All right, something I think is kind of unique to kind of get your opinion on is, I think in crews or even in the field, actually, this is more of a crew question. Doing the easiest, most comfortable thing versus doing the right or safest thing. You can talk about being comfortable with a certain standard, but then really, is that the right way or the safest way to do things? That's going to require some more steps, or you kind of mentioned like if there's mid-span sleeve that you kind of have to address. Like you could say, I'm comfortable with it. It looks good. Actually, let's go up. Let's go make sure it's a press sleeve.
Yeah.
And it's good to go, right? In good condition, right?
Yeah. Really just comes back down to, are we taking shortcuts?
Yeah.
Right. There's the right thing, and then there's the quick thing. And I think if we always do the right thing, probably have a lot less incidents.
And you're not going to be able to identify all those hazards, right? There's going to be unforeseen hazards. I think that's kind of why you have that high standard and everyone's kind of engaged, right?
Yeah.
What does it take to maintain and grow our industry?
I think just continuous personal growth. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There's new technology or new devices going online every day. Actually just saw something last night where phase to ground would not dump the circuit, and it's just a small little spark, just keeps on cycling. And there's a lot of new stuff out there, and getting to know that equipment, learn how it impacts our work, and that way we're more prepared for it. The new equipment may be installed different, and I think it's a lot easier to start learning about it now than the first day you have to go install it.
Being proactive.
Yeah.
And to your point, I think the best is yet to come for the industry. I think for a long time we've seen things done a certain way, but now we're seeing a higher demand, some new challenges, whether it's supply chain or fire mitigation. I think we're seeing some new challenges in working as an industry to overcome these challenges.
Yeah.
And it's communication, right? Yep. In your opinion, what is a common setback or challenge that crews are facing today?
I think communication is probably still at the top. I don't know if it's our egos or our pride, or
you think communication within the crew, communication towards crew and management, communications towards, what do you think can?
I'd probably say more communication crew to management first. I think the crews handle better within themselves than communicating up, so we can support the crews better. But see, even within the crew, those tailboards, how do we eliminate the hazards? How do we, think about all the potential hazards, and, maybe we have to put up an extra cover somewhere, an extra 10 minutes of work, make sure that something comes loose, we're protected. But I think the collaboration between management and crew could work, but it goes both ways, right? I think we're seeing more open-minded on the management side. And maybe the trust isn't there yet with the crews.
Sure.
And some people don't do themselves any favors when we react to incidents or issues. But if we work together closer, I think we could be more successful.
Heck yeah, man. Good points. And I think that de-escalation too, being able to de-escalate maybe a problem that's coming up, even between two journeymen, if you just have a difference of opinion about how we should go about things. At the end of the day, you got to stay in the bucket with that guy. He's got to be your pull partner. So if you have a difference of opinion early on in the day, like how are we going to get through this without stepping on each other's toes? Because we got a 16-hour day. It's 110 degrees out. We need to keep that communication open.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I kind of want to shift things. I was listening to a podcast this morning. It was the Bedros Koulian podcast, episode 82. It talks about 5 traits of highly successful people. I kind of think you can take out successful people and just be motivated, empowered folks. I think a lot of these traits that we're going to go over can kind of really pertain to a lot of people listening in this podcast. Check it out, episode 82. It's a 20-minute podcast. Good listen. Anyways, kind of want to run through the 5 traits. You cool with that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. First trait is the importance of a spouse or insignificant other. I think that's a good point to make. The trade demands a lot, workloads a lot, physically, mentally. What do you think? How important is that to have that spouse and partner on board with what you're doing?
Oh, it's important. You don't want to come home and have that extra stress at home. Once when we're done at work for the day, it's time to decompress, right? Not elevate ourselves back up.
Do you think there's an important part into talking to your spouse about your day so she or they have whether you're married or girlfriend, whatever, is so they have a better understanding of what your day kind of looks like?
Yeah, so they know your mindset before you get home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important too. I think too, it's something I did like a hobby of mine, or kind of I like to be in the know. So I was listening to a lot of political podcasts on my way home, and it just gets you wild up. Like just everything's crazy right now, man. And I was like, yeah, I gotta stop doing that because you're bringing that home. So let me listen to music or something a little lighter, just kind of let the mood kind of settle. Because she could tell. She was like, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Cool. Number 1. All right. Number 2 is the thoughts that occupy your mind. What do those thoughts look like? Are they negative? Are they positive? What do you think about that, brother?
I think it impacts your life. I could work on that a lot.
Just that manifesting of positive outcomes. And
yep.
You say you're working on a lot. You have like a lot of negative. Are you kind of your own worst critic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be a negative person.
Towards yourself?
Just in general.
Yeah.
Something I got to work on.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that high personal expectations.
Sure.
That goal that you can't meet.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair, man. I think all of us kind of have that same thing. I think there's always that expectation to have the job run smooth, and you're talking about so many variables having to align, and it's pretty tough. Like, and you could have everything running smoothly, and you have a backyard easement pole, and that customer's not having a good day, and they're coming out and taking it on you, and you just have to just do your job.
Yeah.
And that's that one variable that kind of is testing you. So, all right, third. What do you think about this so far? Pretty neat. Okay, cool. Impulse control. Talking about just keeping that focus, completing the task and goals. It falls in line with this. I think we're in a challenging trade, so it's easy to stay focused. You're always going to be challenged. Every day is going to be different. Whether you're managing a project or you're running a crew, there's always new challenges. It's kind of exciting trade. So I think our trade kind of allows us to have a purpose.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, the days went quicker on the crew than it does in the office.
Sure.
I'll tell you that much.
Why do you think that is?
The camaraderie, change of scenery every day. Something's different. It's new and exciting. Not staring at the same spreadsheet for weeks.
Figuring out how you're going to turn a profit.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Delayed gratification. The fourth one, I think is kind of big. I think it's easy to apply with apprentices. I think a lot of apprentices are going to underestimate the amount of work and dedication it takes to optimize the time as an apprentice. So you kind of have to put that gratification aside and allow that process of learning and being an apprentice and owning that and what that looks like.
Yeah, it's a journey, right?
It's a journey.
It's not always a clear, quick path.
And the expectation's hard too, because right, you're on a crew. In your example, you have on a transmission crew 7 to 8 on your team, or distribution crew 4 to 5, whatever that looks like. And you're the only apprentice, and these guys are skilled craftsmen that just know the nuances of sounds and feels of how the job's supposed to go. And you're just this new guy, man, trying to just stay safe and stay in the cut and hold your own, man. And like for me, I always wanted to climb better. I always wanted to have my services look a certain way, like that top-notch JL. And it was like, man, like I'm not where I need to be, but it's a process.
Yeah.
Also, too, a big thing is the delayed gratification. Dude, keep your motorcycle in the truck in the garage when you're apprentice, man.
Yeah.
See a lot of apprentices going down, man. It's just wait. Yeah. Kind of, you can set your apprenticeship back a whole nother year just for a bad mistake. So, all right, cool. Last one, 5 here. Your circle of influence. Who are those people that surround you? They talk about in this podcast. He talks about the 5 people that surround you is kind of lead your way. What do you think about circle of influence?
Oh, I think it's important. You've heard those people say if you hang out with, 5 millionaires, you'll be the 6th, right? It's hang out with 5 people with negative attitudes, you're going to have a negative attitude too.
Yeah.
So I try to balance it out.
Yeah. And then do you fit in a mentor in that circle too? Do you kind of rely on that mentorship?
Yeah.
Yep. Do you you kind of talk to your mentor about professional, personal stuff too?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helps you out?
Yeah. Yeah. He's like 15 years older, so he's lived through some different stuff. And he doesn't come from our trade, but he's in our industry.
Yeah.
So that helps out. He has a different perspective.
That's good. Yeah. Do you take that same approach, or do you understand that impact of if you're mentoring someone, you understand what that value is?
Yeah. Yeah, especially like talking to somebody that's non-traditional in the office, trying to open their eyes to, there's kind of 2 separate paths, but eventually they can come together, and what that looks like. And, don't be too eager over here. If you really want that, consider going and applying to the apprenticeship and then come back.
Yeah. Good point, man. All right, next question. Once again, that was the Bedros Koulian podcast, episode 82, 20-minute podcast. He breaks it down a little bit better, but good stuff. All right, what's something you value more now that you progressed in your career and you're kind of overseeing some more of your responsibilities have gotten a little more in depth?
I think honesty a lot. Speak up if there's something wrong. We can work together and collaborate, fix it instead of waiting until it's too late. We we all make mistakes, whether it's work product or forgot something or overlooked something or didn't know any better. Just bring it up early. There's the 2 of us together can accomplish a lot more than just me sitting there in the corner grinding away and spinning my wheels.
That ownership, that accountability piece.
Yeah.
Good point, man. All right, man. You got to be a little humble here. But what is something you think you're really good at?
Oh, man.
Change your whole demeanor, dude. This is the worst question.
I think I'm good at. Sorry, I'll start over so you can cut that.
No, you're good, man. Staying in.
Some more water real quick.
Yeah, drink up. I think it's a tough question for sure.
It is. You should have told me ahead of time.
No way, man. Gotta keep you on the spot. Keep you grinding your gears. All right, Felipe. What do you think? What do you think you're good at?
Being able to close that gap between office and field and having that different perspective and being able to relate to both sides and not taking that it's us versus them mentality, helping the non-traditionals in the office understand the struggles we face in the field and vice versa, right? Because as a crew, it's really easy to go out there and say, oh, this is messed up. Okay. I don't think anyone planned on setting up the job wrong. Maybe we could do better next time. Maybe we, missed a traffic control permit or something else. But, let's work together. How do we fix this? And just that other perspective.
Damn, that's a good point. All right, flip side. What do you struggle with? Can't drink no more water.
Give me a moment. I'll get it. There's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So it's more personal, not work related.
What could you do better at?
Want to ask it again? Or?
Yeah, what do you think you struggle with?
I think something I've been working on that I used to struggle a lot with is patience. And just understanding that not everything's going to go as smooth or as fast as I would like it to. But I've been working on it hard.
Dude, that's good. I think we all, me personally, yeah, professional and personal life is something to practice. It's a skill, right? Patience is a skill. Something you got to work at.
Like I just want to go get it done. Can't always have that attitude.
Yeah. You're bringing other people along with you. Bring that team along too. All right, kind of wind this down a little bit. You've been doing great, man. I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks.
What are we getting right in the industry? What are we getting right as an industry?
I think adapting to the new tools and equipment, we're doing good. And there's a lot of good partnerships, like between Milwaukee and our industry. Gelco. I think the collaboration between the people that support us with tools and equipment and our industry is really good. There's a lot of good stuff coming out.
Yeah, some good communication, and you hit the nail on the head. Milwaukee, Gelco, a lot of these big manufacturers are asking. They're going to the end user and be like, "What's wrong? What do you need? Where's the gaps? How can we improve?" And it's like, "What? This is awesome."
Yeah, the outreach from them to just all the different contractors, pretty good.
It takes humility too to bring a new tool that you and your team have been working on. I'm assuming here that they've been working on for 1 or 2 years, whatever that looks like, and be like, "Tell me what you don't like about this." Yeah, shit, that's tough, man.
Yeah,
but that's the feedback that's needed, I think.
And they're quick to adjust.
Yeah,
it's not like you give them the feedback and you don't see them for a year, and then by that time you're done. That tool's not relevant anymore. Like they get it back out to you quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Yeah, as an industry, we're communicating, I think, better with partners and collaboration a little bit better. Just to see, like, hey, here's the demand, and this is what the challenges kind of look like for sure. What can we improve on? Flip side of that question there. What can we improve on as an industry?
I think how we work on recruiting the next generation. I think we're getting there, right? You're seeing the locals, you guys podcast videos, right?
Appreciate that.
That's the new generation. That's how they receive information. So how do you close that gap? And I think we're getting there. I think the next generation, I don't know if they want to do the work, but I think we can get there.
Yeah, that's important too. I think you think that talent's going to come to us.
I hope so. I think everything's going on in the world today, and even through COVID, look who was still employed, still working hard. I mean, we're a little slow right now, right? But it'll come back around. A lot of work coming up.
That's a good point, man. Attract and retain talent in the industry. I think at the end of the day, as competitors or as different entities, yeah, there's a piece of pie we're all trying to get. But at the end of the day, our biggest competitors is that other industry.
Yeah.
The oil and the gas, whatever.
The other trades.
Other trades, yeah.
That are trying to claim rights to build in pools.
Yeah. It's our work. Yeah. Job fairs, podcasts, videos, communication, word of mouth. Like you said, your uncle was like, "Hey, here you go. This is your path. Choose wisely, young Jedi." All right, cool. Last question. We'll kind of wind it down here. Professionally, what are you grateful for?
Everyone I've worked around. There's a lot of good people in this trade. It's hard to keep up with all of them. A lot of phone calls throughout the month just to keep tabs on everyone. But I try.
But then you call them, it's like could be years or months missed between, and it's like, what do you need?
Right.
What do you need, brother?
Yeah.
How can I help? It's that trade. It's dope. All right, cool. We're gonna take a pause with Brutus Paul. Obviously, right now I'm co-hosting, filling in for the boss man. But it's my segment. We're gonna have a little fun. And this is powered by Dragonware FR, our good friends over at Dragonware. All right. You are tasked with training an apprentice, and you are only allowed to train them with one hard skill and one soft skill. What are you looking at?
Yeah. Hard skill, rigging, good rigging. Not too many wasted steps. Good positioning into the rigging, and then the soft skill, communication. Just being able to have that three-way communication and not just hear the orders and just put your head down and go to work, communicating it back so we know exactly what they understood.
I think as linemen too, we can challenge ourselves as saying, articulating that expectation too. Like, yeah, you don't have to hold their hand, but under that supervision and did I give a clear task, or did I clearly identify what's the expectation of that task? This is more kind of centered to you. Your boss tells you to take 30 days paid off. That's the key word, paid off. But the catch is that you have to come back better than you currently are now. What are you working on? And you can't say you're tan or you're sleeping.
Communication classes for sure. Just whatever's out there. I think a lot of issues could be resolved through better communication.
Listening.
Yeah, for sure. Listening.
Articulating. Yeah. It's almost, it's undervalued, man. Just a good communication. Like, something Raul always says is, he always gets nervous when he steps out of, if he's going to visit a crew or gets to a job site, if it's quiet on a job site. Yeah. Even with like those well-oiled machines of crews that have been working together for a while, like there's always that constant communication going on. And, he said his spidey senses go up when he gets to a job site and it's kind of quiet. So cool, man. Any final messages? You want to let people know where they can find you? What else you got, man? What'd you think about today?
It's good. Thanks for having me.
For sure, man. Anything we didn't talk about?
No, you good? Yeah, just if you want to connect, find me on LinkedIn.
For sure, man. Would you mind coming in again maybe a year from now?
Yeah.
Chop it up again?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Appreciate you taking the time out. Appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it. That's a wrap. Felipe. Hey, great, man. That's a wrap, folks. Parliament Podcast. Thanks to our special guest, Felipe. All right, this podcast would not be possible without the entire Sturgis Electric California workforce. So, appreciate you. All right, guys. That's going to do it. Thanks.